good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to some part of the world. So tonight is a big game. Barcelona face their nemesis PSG for the umpteenth time. We are talking of two clubs who are in a bit of transition because of two new managers who's appointed. Obviously, when you compare their set of fans, it's going to be a big game for both of them because it's a game for a neutral. It's a very fun game because Barcelona had the bragging rights couple of years back, the La Remontada, as they popularly tag in social media, and they keep gloating about it. And PSG's historic failure in turning up in second legs, first against Barcelona, then against Manchester United, and overcoming everything. They were the Champions League finalists last year, where they eventually lost to possibly one of the best teams we have seen on planet Earth, which is Bayern Munich. But this game is about Barcelona and PSG, like I said, who both are in transition phase. And I have got with me two fans from respective clubs. So I've got Yuddhajit and Sriram who are going to represent Barcelona, and I've got Anirbad and On Mohammed who are going to represent PSG. So before I let you guys debate, talk, etc., etc., I have a very simple question, and I'm just opening the whole podcast with this common question. Like I said, the clubs are in transition, but if you had to choose who's at a much more worse spot, because Pochettino has just been appointed, he's still trying to find his best 11, trying to see how the team will settle in. And there is Ronald Koeman with Barcelona, and Barcelona historically are facing a lot of issue. It started with the 8-2 loss. By the time that healed, Messi came out and said, you know what, I might leave. The court case and everything happened. Then came the elections out of nowhere, which has been postponed. Then suddenly Ronald Koeman is not able to adjust and his team. He's not able to find his proper 11. The La Liga seems out of place because Atletico Madrid are clearly running away with it. The top four looks a bit dicey for Barcelona. Injury concerns, so on and so forth. And then Messi's contract. If I had to choose which club is at a worse position, I would probably choose, apart from Manchester United, there's one club which is at much more worse position. That's Barcelona. So what do you guys have to say? Is it Barcelona who's at much more standstill point, or is it PSG?
I think it is Barcelona. There's no question about
First
that.
question.
Definitely.
I mean,
But
on
going
field,
into the
off field,
game, I think Barcelona is better. Going into the game, I think it's fine. Short term, just a short term.
Okay, so let's talk about going into the game first. I think you clearly brought about the who's going to the game. But if I had to choose, right? If I had to ask you a question in the sense that what do you think Ronald Koeman is going to set up his team like? Is it going to be like, I remember that Usman Dembele was rested against Alaves. He came for the last 9-10 minutes. Do you think Ronald Koeman in the first leg will say, you know what, boys, go out, score 4-5-6-0, whatever you can, just get maximum number of goals, and then we'll go to Stade de France, and then we'll see what can be done. Sriram, what do you think of it?
Uh, I think I don't know what he's going to say. Like 4-5-6. I don't know his mindset. Like if he's going for a nil-nil draw, even I don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he will go with Dembele. He was rested because he has to start.
Mm-hmm.
He rested Serginho Dest and gave him some 18 minutes or something. So I think Dest will start too.
Mm.
What the concern is the central midfield, because that place we lost Ronald Araujo there, and he is our quickest defender. He could be our best defender, and he's definitely out. I saw the news today morning, so he's definitely out of the game. He won't play. Gerard Piqué is back in training. Maybe he can make it, but again, he's coming after like 2-month layoff or something. So Barcelona is this team. I watch them when they build up and they give vibes of a good team. Like, okay, this team can do good. And then after they lose the ball, you watch them without the ball, and there's no shape, there's no nothing. And when teams hit us, we just get rolled over. Absolutely, defensively, we just get rolled over at times. So we have to score goals.
Yuddhajit, I'll just carry on this to you. From Sriram, I'll just move to you in the sense that, he's addressed a very valid point saying that the team is good. There's no doubt about the team. The problem is consistency. And the consistency is in the team form as well as the team selection. Because as much as I know Ronald Koeman does not like a fixed 11. He keeps changing here and there for his whims and fancies. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it does not make sense. But having said that, if Gerard Piqué or anyone who's supposedly, supposed to start as a center back is not starting, what do you think will be your predicted lineup for this game?
well, from what I've seen over the season, I think if Piqué doesn't start, He might go with the backline of Umtiti and Mingueza or Longley and Mingueza. I don't think he's going to start Umtiti and Longley because both are very error prone. They might
Agreed.
have a very good game for 70 minutes and they might just mess everything up in the last 20 minutes. So they're very error prone. I don't think he's going to start with that. And he has shown signs of not trusting Longley a lot. He prefers starting Umtiti over Longley, Mingueza over both of them. But again, Umtiti is very error prone. He can't be trusted. So if I think if Dest is fit for the match, it might be it might be Mingueza with Longley or Umtiti if PK doesn't start. And
Okay.
if PK does, then it might be Umtiti and PK because PK and Longley are both don't have much pace. They're pretty slow off the ball and on the ball as well. So I think
But it will be Marc-Andre Stegen at the goal. Right back will be Serginho Dest. Then you are saying that will be Mingueza and Umtiti, or Longley and Umtiti. Left back will be Alba. Then you have your obviously, and then your center midfield will be the trio who's actually the only stable combination which what Ronald Koeman likes. Pedri, Frankie De Jong, and Sergio Busquets. Now comes your front three, right? There was a point of time where your front three was one of the most talked front three in whole world. You had the combinations of BBC versus MSN, and after a point of time, people were like, which is better, what is working out, etc., etc. I'll not go into the stats, nor will I give an opinion on who's better. We all know who's better. So, in that sense, suddenly S is out of the game, right? S is gone. Let's not go to S and I'll touch a nerve. N is also gone. There's only one guy left, which is M. Okay, then you have another guy who's joined from Atletico Madrid, who's trying to gel up with the team. Now you have a team of M-A-U, or you have a team of M-A-T. Who are you picking?
I would pick Messi, Griezmann, and Dembele. Because if you have seen, because they have, I think, been chosen as a definite starters because Fatih is injured for the rest of the season. He's out of the whole season. So and Dembele brings in a lot of width the pitch, which he actually lacked the entire of the last season, and that's how we lost our games because he didn't have any width on the pitch. So Dembele is not a very definite goal scorer. Of course, his job is not to score goals, but to stretch out the entire defense. So I think picking Dembele over Trincao gives him a lot of scope in picking up channels in the opposition defense, which Trincao likes to cut in most of the time. Correct. And Dembele likes to dribble with the ball outside the box.
Trincao's instinct is more like a winger trying to cut in and then try to get, while Dembele is more of an expansive forward who likes to stretch the lines and then try to get inside the box and then dribble or take a man on, etc. So I get what you're trying to say, and probably even I also think Dembele might start because the rest against Alaves, the indications are that he would start. But now talking about a forward of Dembele's caliber, who was supposedly one of the best forwards when Barcelona signed. Now moving on to the PSG side, there was a 19-year-old kid who's 2021 now. The man is just growing leaps and bounds. The legend of Ninja Turtle suddenly has become famous after the World Cup. And then, I remember when the first time I saw Kylian Mbappe, it was a game against Monaco and City, if I'm not wrong. And Radamel Falcao had a brilliant game back then. And then I remember his runs. I don't see Pep Guardiola's teams getting caught out on pace, because Pep Guardiola's team, one thing which does not happen with a lot of Pep Guardiola's team is that they don't lose their ship very quickly. That's how Guardiola drills his side as, right? Suddenly this guy comes out of nowhere and he's just making defenders look like amateurs. That kid suddenly goes to the World Cup and then we see him explode, right? It was there to say that, the era of Messi and Ronaldo might end, but there is a superstar in growth, and that's Kylian Mbappe. As a United fan, when PSG faced United, I remember his goal and I was like, man, that small amount of pace and he just went in. That kid, right, is special. We all know it. So on and Anirban, in that sense, right, he hasn't stepped up his mark in big nights at UCL. He's a great goal scorer in League One, but somewhere down the line, there is not a mark of Kylian Mbappe in a Champions League night and say, that's the game. If I had to talk about Ronaldo's contribution in Champions League, obviously he's Mr. Champions League. You say in a final, he stood up. He always steps up in big games. If you talk about Messi, he always stands up, and more often than not, he always steps up in big games. For example, the night against Manchester United, he stood up. You talk about Lewandowski, he stood up when he was at Dortmund. He scored 4 goals against Real Madrid. There are nights which makes big players. But Kylian Mbappe does not have a big night in Champions League, and quite possibly tomorrow or today, in that sense, that might just change. What do you guys have to say about Mbappe's failure in turning up in big games? Does it haunt you as a fan? You thinking that, yeah, he does all these goals in League One, but Champions League nights he goes missing.
Actually, the thing is right that he does not performs that well in the Champions League, which he performs in the League One. But I think when he plays in the Champions League, he just sometimes he just try to play selfish. He does not pass the ball sometimes, and he just try to take the ball in the box. So that is a bit disappointing sometimes. But still, as Neymar is out for the first leg against Barcelona, it's a very good opportunity for him to be a hero for PSG in the match against Barcelona. So I think he will try to do better, which he does, which he have done in the last few years. So I think he will try better to do.
So, I'll just take that point of a big Champions League night and I'll just move to on Mohammad. And, in my sense, there are two players who are going to miss tomorrow's game. One is Neymar and second is Angel Di Maria. Possibly, I don't know even take that guy's name, but yeah, whatever. So that gentleman has always got a penchant for scoring in big games, and especially the kind of player he is coming from Real Madrid, a failed attempt at Manchester United, then to PSG, shining well for PSG. He would be itching to get onto the field against Barcelona, but sadly he isn't fit. Now the entire onus comes to Pochettino and the team. How does he figure out a playing 11? If I had to ask you, what do you think will be Pochettino's approach in tomorrow's match? And likewise, what would be your predicted 11 for tomorrow's game?
Okay. I think PSG will line up in a 4-2-3-1 formation, probably Verratti in a more upfront attacking role in 4-2-3-1, number 10 role in which Neymar plays. And with, I think Icardi will be up front. At left wing will be Mbappe, probably. And at the right wing, I think he will line up Keane and start him because he was good in the last game against Liga game, against OGC Nice.
Yeah.
In defensively, I think he will line up the two center pairs of Kimpembe and, of course, Marquinhos, and who I think are much more better on paper than are much more a better defensive duo on paper than Barcelona's defense. Of course, there's no doubt. Talking about attacking in terms of midfield, there will be a central double pivot between, I think, Idrissa Gana Gueye and Paredes.
Okay. I know what you just meant by it, and I know typically Pochettino's team likes to have a double pivot in the midfield because he likes that control in the game. And like we were discussing just before we started recording this, tomorrow's game, in my opinion, will be won by the team who controls the midfield. Because if I look at both set of forwards, I don't want to make a comparison saying that Messi versus Mbappe, etc., etc. That's too premature, and it's not a very logical comparison that way, because I cannot compare someone like Lionel Messi to a kid like Mbappe, who's very potential, talented kid, but there's a lot of room for improvement for him in that sense. The defense is not great in either set of the teams when I look at it, because for example, when PSG faced against United, we made sure that we target Kimpembe because we clearly knew that he'll be caught off his position once or twice. So I will not say that will be his standard. Of course, he's gone improved, and the game which mattered the most, which United should have won, PSG won it. But yeah, whatever. I'll not rub salt on my wound. So I'll straight away go to Yuddhajit and Sriram. And possibly I'll start with Yuddhajit. this game has always been iconic, and Barcelona are chasing a record. I'm sure a lot of people would know. If Barcelona win this tie, when I say win this tie, both legs, they will be one of the few teams who have qualified for the last 16 of the Champions League for a record 14th time. That's 14 consecutive times. Very few teams can say that about themselves, that they've always qualified. In such a turmoil situation, what Barcelona is, if you were the manager, what do you think would be your approach to the game? Is it the age-old Barcelona way where you are like, we are going to dominate the game from minute one, we are not going to give them a sniff of a chance, or you wait and watch, let the game build and unfold, because the game will give you chances, right? It's a set of both teams who would be going for the kill. So do you wait and watch and then start, or do you like from minute one go attack?
Okay, so I would just like to go back 2 matches before this match happened. So against in the match against Sevilla in the Copa del Rey semi-final first leg, we actually played pretty leniently. We just sat back, gave them chances. We tried to catch them on counter, because I understand what Koeman was trying to do. Maybe he was trying to conserve energy for the match against PSG, and we had the same against Alaves. So difference between the two approaches was that Sevilla is a superior team to Alaves. Alaves was 16 in the league table, I guess. So it worked against Alaves. They left a lot of space in the back, and we capitalized on that. We won 5-1, but we got spanked against Sevilla. We lost 2-0, and I guess all our
I remember the outrage. I remember the outrage very well. In Facebook groups, Twitter, Barcelona fans are on fire.
Yeah. So I mean, again,
he was sleeping on the floor.
So PSG is superior than Sevilla if we go by the team shape. So I think sitting back, giving them chances, and trying to hit them on counter would actually hurt us. It would be suicidal. So again, as you said, the match will be decided on who controls the midfield. Again, Barca is controlling the midfield, controlling the tempo of the game, and not giving the opponents any chance.
One gentleman, right? One Dutch gentleman who was labeled as a flop by most rival set of fans and other people is suddenly turning on the heat. He's playing a defensive midfield role. He's going to a box-to-box role. He's also assisting at the forward end. Yeah. He's starting to develop like a player which Barcelona paid 70-60 million for that gentleman.
True. I mean, Frenkie de Jong would be instrumental to how we play, because apart from what you said, he has this tendency to just like pop up in the box out of nowhere. He just makes a late run and pops in the box and scores.
Real Madrid know all about Frenkie de Jong and Hakim Ziyech very well.
Of course they do. Of course, there is no wonder they hate him, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, again, in Pedri, the young Pedri is so young. He's only 18, but he plays like he's some 28 or 38 years old. I mean, the way he holds the ball, the way he intercepts passes, the way he robs the ball of opponent defenders. Like in the match against Juventus, he basically pocketed Cuadrado. I mean, Cuadrado know what we've seen. He was just rolling on the floor against Pedri.
So, I think the last time I saw Cuadrado he was in Chelsea. So.
No, he hasn't been good in Syria this year.
Obviously, with Juan Cuadrado, you don't know what to expect, because he can go brilliant in one game. But you mentioned about Frenkie de Jong, and I'll go to Sriram about it, right? So it's a bit of a battle between the two managers as well. Ronald Koeman is a legend of Barcelona, possibly one of the best players to play in the Champions League, top scorer in Champions League at one point of time. Was so instrumental in making sure Barcelona were that team what they were in previous years. Then on the rival side, who's going to manage PSG, is a man who hates Barcelona. He was jobless for a year, and he publicly came out and said, I will rather go to a farm, but will not manage Barcelona, right? So for Pochettino, who's always been labeled as a bottler because of, whatever has happened with him during his Spurs tenure, and so on and so forth, right? The match is going to be extra special. And of course, it's a big game, big Champions League night, but without spectators. That's the sad part of it. In spite of all these difficulties, what motivation does Barcelona as a football club have right now to turn up for tomorrow's, or for the game all of a sudden? Because so many uncertainties, and you just can't build a block, right? There is this uncertainty, that uncertainty. Suddenly you can't combine them all and say, this is my blueprint for the game.
Yeah, motivation. Pochettino has that thing versus Barcelona that, like, I don't like them. I am an aspect.
Of course, he's crossed on rival. He was former crossed on rival manager.
Barcelona doesn't have that same respect towards him as the coach, although they should have that. They should have that this guy is a good coach, and Barcelona also don't have that versus PSG that okay they are like some rivals against us, so we will going to go and bury them down. They don't have that too. I'm searching for a thing that's going to give them motivation. I don't know what it is. Usually it should come from some critics who are criticizing the current form, which is not to be seen because the current form is good. And the Copa del Rey, of course, we are behind in the first leg. What happened last time out in the Copa del Rey, we were behind. We came back, we scored 6 goals. So I don't think they are taking that too seriously, though. So what are they going to find? The last Champions League game, actually, I think they should look to rectify themselves. The last game, it was against Juventus. We should ideally not be PSG.
You would hate to remember that game, right? So
we should not be in this situation. We should not be facing these guys. Like, I cannot imagine Jordi Alba defending against Mbappe. It should have been some RB Leipzig. I'm not disrespecting Leipzig here.
Yeah.
But it's a better match.
What you mean.
It's a better matchup than PSG. That's what I'm trying to say. We shouldn't be in this situation.
I'll just straight away go to on, right? Sriram is not happy facing PSG because he's not very confident about his defense, especially Alba versus Mbappe. It's going to be a game for me as a neutral. I'm going to enjoy that game because anyways, my team does not play in Champions League. So that's not much of a joy for me. But having said that, right, I don't know as a neutral, where would I put my money in if I was going to place a bet, because it's a very open game, right? And historically, please don't take it offensively when I say I was very happy when Pochettino went to PSG and started managing. I, as a United fan, was the happiest. I was like, I don't want the gentleman who comes third in a 2-horse race to manage a club like Manchester United. No, he's not cut out for big clubs. But having said all that, Pochettino is not a bad manager. It's just his record in big games, his record in clubs unable to win a title, him not winning anything, so on and so forth. A lot of things which happened with Pochettino. In that sense, PSG were finalists of the Champions League last year. A Champions League which a lot of people who make memes say that they went to the Champions League final because there was no second leg or whatever. But in my opinion, to make it to a Champions League final, you have to win, and you have to win consistently. It's not an easy route. Even if it's a one leg, you have to win. Suddenly you're going to face Barcelona. The players all know about the club, right? And there are a lot of dark memories for PSG as a club, right? You were leading at one point of time in the tie and it went kaput. So do you guys still have that scar in somewhere down the line? And it did not happen once, it happened twice. One with Barcelona, second with Manchester United. Kimpembe and this penalty and Marcus Rashford stepping up to score. Sorry, I had to rub that in, but whatever. In that sense, do you think that, are you guys thinking that it's not easy against this team, because no matter how much we score, they are going to come hard at us. So we might as well go and get a big score.
Well, I think PSG, as comparatively to the 2017 La Remontada, are more stronger than, before. Of course, it is going to be 50% game, 50% on both sides. Both teams are going to attack. Barca are going to play, the way they play the tiki-taka football, the triangular passes, and PSG will try to hurt them on the counter attack.
No, but sorry to interrupt you. Barcelona no longer play the tiki-taka way, which I hated the most, because the Guardiola's tiki-taka was more annoying. This Barcelona's football is all about 2 passes, 1-2, 1-2, and then move. In that sense, right, is the worst part about being a Barcelona fan right now is that after the 1 and 2 pass, they're looking for the third one. Is there anyone who's going to receive the ball? More often than not, there is not a lot of players. In that sense, you're right. PSG are much stronger as a team than what they were. Look at the addition of Mauro Icardi now, because of course, all the controversy surrounding Mauro Icardi, etc. But people tend to underrate Mauro Icardi because he's a clinical goal scorer. The man leaks goals when he's on form. And if people who are watching this podcast don't know a lot about Mauro Icardi, there is a very popular phrase in the Inter Milan. They say that inside the box, God can forgive you, but Mauro Icardi won't, because he was that lethal at one point of time at Inter Milan, and then his contractual issues with the board, moved to PSG on a loan, and then permanent signing, etc. In that sense, right on, What I want to ask you and Anirban is, and I'm going to ask you individually both, what is your final prediction for the tie? Not just tomorrow. You can give me individually tomorrow's legs and the return leg, but what is your score prediction for the whole tie?
I think whole tie it is going to be a 3-3.
Okay.
And I mean, it is going to be, 2-2 at Camp Nou, and at the Le Parc des Princes, it is going to be a 1-1 draw. So PSG will make it through, I think, away goals, in terms of away goals.
Okay. Anirban, what do you think?
I will predict that tomorrow it is going to be a draw, 1-1 draw. And then in Park, I think PSG will go through with a 3-2 win, and I hope everything goes well.
Yudhajit and Sriram would take 1-1 draw tomorrow happily. They'll be like, please don't score 4-5 or whatever. Just draw 0-0, 1-1, 2-2, whatever. Draw is fine. So I'll move to straight away to you guys. Sriram first. So what do you think about your prediction?
My prediction. I don't like to ship goals, but I would have confidently said we wouldn't ship goals if that Juventus game did not happen. Okay. We almost gave Ronaldo a hat-trick of penalties. So
you had to.
But PK's not playing, so it's tough to say that they won't score because I don't trust my defense, naturally. I would like to biasedly say that we would be a 1-0 or something, but I think 1-1 is making more sense looking at our defense. 1-1.
And for the whole tie?
And for the whole tie, might as well snake a 1-0 at Parc des Princes, go through 2-1. That's my bias speaking. That's my bias speaking, but still, yeah.
Fair enough. Yudhajit, do you support what Sriram said, or do you have a different prediction?
I kind of understand what he's trying to say, but Barcelona is very unpredictable, right? Like what happened to Liverpool after the lockdown. One day they might turn up as prime Liverpool under Klopp, and next day they might turn up completely drunk Liverpool who don't know how to play a match. So again,
thanks for bringing that. I felt so good, After the draw against West Bromwich Albion yesterday, I was looking for motivation in life, and you gave me one.
No, but we have a cheat code in Messi. I mean, Messi is in very good form right now, and when he turns up, I don't think anyone can stand up to him. But I don't know. I really want to win tomorrow, but I think maybe we might go through a very narrow margin tomorrow. But again, considering it's Barcelona, even if we take a 5, 6, 7 goals lead, I won't be confident of winning the tie. So I think again, depending on how Messi plays and how Griezmann plays mostly, and how the midfield works, I don't know. Maybe we might win tomorrow, but I believe that we might go through the tie. I believe in my team. I don't like to jinx. I believe in my team. And yeah, I believe we might go to the tie. I'm not predicting the scores, maybe, but I know it will be very, very close, very, very close.
Fair enough. If I had to pick a team as a neutral, I think tomorrow's game will be 0-0 draw at Camp Nou. I don't think both teams are going for it at Camp Nou, and at Parc des Princes, where PSG are strongest. I think PSG will just blow Barcelona away by 2-0 or 3-0 or whatever, because as a United fan, I don't like going to Parc des Princes. Obviously, we have a good record there, but that stadium is scary to a certain extent. Even when we played without fans, right? That whole ambience was very different, and it's a bit intimidating. So I don't know how much of it will last during this tie, and it all depends on what's going to happen tomorrow. But I really hope best of luck to both of your teams, because it's going to be a mouth-watering clash, and almost the entire world is waiting for it, because it's going to be the battle of the master, which is Lionel Messi, versus the apparent heir, right, which is Kylian Mbappe to a certain extent. So we'll have to see who comes up. But last but not the least, before I let you go, we spoke about everyone, and I want to just put in a small thought to anyone who's watching this. We spoke about the big guns in the game, right? We spoke about an Mbappe, we spoke about a Messi, we spoke about a Frankie de Jong in the game. We spoke about Marquinhos and Presnel Kimpembe, etc., etc. But there's one player, and I think he deserves a lot of credit. And I'll just leave you with this parting thought. There is a guy who likes Champions League so much, and he plays for PSG, which is Keylor Navas. Keylor Navas on a Champions League night, we all know what he does and what he turns up. I really, really hope he steps up once again tomorrow, because of his history with Barcelona and his history in Champions League. So I really hope and wish both the teams all the best, and may the best team win. Thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in, and I hope both of you have a good game.